All right, hello everybody. This is
Then
Ryan over High Carb Regenerator. Today I've got Clinton with the Fruit Kid. I'm sure everybody's
yeah.
seen the Fruit Kid. I mean, he's commented on my video. He's awesome. Got a lot of good content out there. I'm going to post his links down in the description down here everywhere. So go check him out. And welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me on here. Watching your videos for some time. So yeah, it's good to be here.
It's awesome. And I asked everybody this: why go vegan? What got you started on the whole thing?
Okay, so whenever I was really young, like maybe around the age of like 15, 16, I started experiencing, maybe even earlier, I started experiencing a lot of like negative issues in relation to like skin issues, like lots of cysts and boils, really, really painful. I would be getting them like, on my armpits or my groin and all these different places, mixed in with the fact that I had like, asthma growing up and all these different things. To solve the issues, my parents, they would take me to the doctors and the doctors would give me antibiotics. And the antibiotics worked, but they only worked for about a week. So just seeing this repeated cycle, I had to keep going to the doctors and keep getting antibiotics. And this sort of cycle of, getting my horrible skin issues that were painful, the red and inflamed, and like sometimes I couldn't even walk or sit down properly. Whenever I went to uni, I felt really alone because I was suffering with all these issues. I didn't really like tell that many people, but like I was suffering with it alone, and I was away from my family, the people that kind of knew like that I was going through this. And like I remember just sitting in my room one day whenever I was going through a bad spell, having like, throat infections, cysts and boils, and just not feeling great. And I just remember just thinking to myself, like, I need to figure this out, or I'm just going to be screwed for the rest of my life. So I remember even like getting on my knees and being like, help me. I, just like, and something just pushed me in the direction of studying nutrition, getting on YouTube, watching lots of TED Talks and stuff like that, like ventured into like the health side of TED Talks and like seeing John McDougall. He absolutely slayed it in that one video that I watched of him. And then I came across, the Raw to 4 community, and that like sort of inspired me and gave me the like motivation to try it. And then I started to feel a lot better. My issues were like, it just started to go away. And that was like the initial motivation that I needed to sort of get into the lifestyle. And then obviously like watching some like animal slaughter footages really, really cemented it for me in the end. So that's how I sort of got started.
And how did you get started? Were you a junk food vegan, or did you start off as a vegetarian?
Just straight into the fruits. I started, well, because like I watched John McDougall, I was just like, okay, starch based. This is the thing, it talks about the first generation, the second generation and stuff. So I was just like, right, I'll give this a try. So like I just did the best I could. I bought like veggie burgers, and I got like corn mince and stuff like that, like corn like chicken, even though like I thought they were vegan, but they were not, because they had like egg in it. But like I was just doing the best I can to like, move closer in that direction. So it started off a bit more oily, a bit more sort of like processed. And then after a while, like just listening to John McDougall, you'd hear him say, no oil, no oil. So eventually I switched to more like starch based, whole foods, oil free. And I was like a proper activist for the whole food oil free lifestyle. So that's how I started.
So were you SOS, what is it, salt, oil, and sugar free? Were you part of that group?
No, I don't think I could have done that. I don't like, if you said yo, you could do this like vegan thing, but like you can't have like salt or sugar. Oil is easy.
Oil is easy.
Oil's fine, and sugar is fine as well, because like fruit and stuff like that, dates, I like live on dates basically. But no, I salted, like I like savory food, so like I've never really done the SOS apart from just giving it a try for like it's like a 30-day challenge or something like that.
So what brought you to the fruit then? Because I know, McDougall really does not talk about fruit. I mean, did you ever try the 50-50 plate too? Were you ever part of that group?
No, because the thing that inspired me about this lifestyle was that I could eat as much as I want. You know, that's what really was just like, wait a minute, like I can eat like as much as I want and still be lean and like not have all these skin issues. So I've always been like eating in an abundance. So I've never really been about the 50-50 plate, but like I like the idea of 50-50 plate in terms of just getting more sort of greens in, but like my 50-50 plate would be not really 50-50 because the rice would be stacked high versus like half the plate of vegetables. So.
Yeah.
And you were saying about the fruit?
Yeah. So what brought you into the fruit then?
That's a good question. So on my quest of like, you know, studying sort of like the plant-based like diet and lifestyle, I was looking for books. And you know the way sometimes if you buy a book, like it'll suggest like you'll see like the suggested books or like the books that other people have bought, like in
you
the
know
corner,
what?
like
I'm
on
like
Amazon or something.
I'm like 800, so I go to bookstores, so that doesn't really happen.
You're like, you kids
Yeah.
nowadays.
But now I've gotten even worse. Like I got all of them on here. I don't read them on the phone. I just listen to them.
Audiobooks.
Yeah,
I love audiobooks.
Yeah, audiobooks.
But yeah, that's like I bought like a book, and then in the suggested section there was a book called The Mucusless Diet Healing System by Arnold Ehret. And
every interview.
Yeah, it's like he's the one. He's the one. Like, well, like I just saw the reviews. I didn't know what the book was about, but it said something about plant-based diet, like fasting or something. And I was like, right, okay, I'll buy this book. And then around the same time, you know, Freely, the banana girl, was popping up on my feed. You know, I was like, this lady's like putting away like 50 bananas and stuff like that. I'm like, what's going on? So I read the book by Arnold Ehret, and I was like 100% convinced human beings are fruit-based. You know, but like while I was reading it, it was like messing with my mind because like I had like all this sort of starch-based philosophy, humans are starchivores. And then I was reading this book and I was just like, you know, I'm going to give this fruit thing a try. So I gave, like, you know, I remember I had a meal of like dates and like maybe like clementines or something like that. And like, I was like, I feel so good. I feel so good compared to like having like a dense meal of like oatmeal and stuff like that. So coupled with watching Freely, the banana girl, seeing the Raw to 4 community, that's what got me in the direction of like, nah, human beings are frugivorous instead of starch based. I've never like, you know, and after that, I've never been able to go back to the philosophy.
No, you can't. You can't. Actually, I did a video about this today. It'll probably be out before this. So did you go fruitarian for a while, or was it just you know, like a raw till 4 type thing?
It was raw till 4. And like I actually noticed, like whenever I watched Freely, like the banana girls, like raw till 4 videos, it was this weird effect of just like waiting till the dinner, just like seeing the dinner meal. It's like, but it's like just seeing all the fruit kind of like brought you into the like the receptive build. Like, I don't know, just the receptive mood of like, oh, what's gonna be the dinner. And I noticed that myself whenever I ate fruits throughout the day, the starch meal in the evening seemed more like like more good, more satisfying or something like that. So I never did fruitarian up until like a couple years after.
Because this Arnold Ehret, from what everybody has said, I haven't read this book. I've been told to read this book for like,
you gotta read it
12 years
or
now.
audiobook it.
Yeah. But it sounds like a Starvation Nation type thing from what people are telling me, and that's why I haven't read it.
Okay, yeah, the community, it's an interesting community. I'll be honest.
Like Fruitarians, you know, they're out there like, you know, like with I don't know what the symbol is. I mean, it's, you know, it's a certain symbol.
Like
this
namaste
one is, but
or
like,
something like that. It's like,
yeah, and they're like, oh, you know, man, I'm like Fruitarian, and it's like I just I've had no interest. But anyway, continue.
No, like the it's an interesting community because like some like they don't really believe in the calorie sort of like theory and stuff like that. So it kind of leaves space for people to undereat. But like for me reading the book, there's a section in it where he's like, you know, sometimes you got to eat, but like you got to eat like as much as, like, you know, if you're having like 2 to 3 or 4 meals in one meal. So I've always seen that as just like he wants people eating 2 large meals as part of the program, but like large meals. So I've never seen it as like a deprivation sort of thing, because like I eat big
Okay. Yeah, because everybody that I've ever heard talk about this book is like juices, juice fasts, and then they're like, oh, I got to get rid of mucus and like the mucoid plaque. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the 50-50 plate where people took that 50-50 plate and they ran with it in a different direction than it was
You
intended.
hate the 50-50 plate.
I hate it. I hate it.
With a vengeance.
I hate it. And McDougall hates it. He wrote it and he's like, I wish I wouldn't have written this thing.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, I mean, because this is the people who normally refer to this as people who are doing juice fasts or, fasting. So that's not in there.
Well, he does talk about doing juice fasting and like living on fruits, but he never recommends people do like 40-day like juice fast and stuff. He always talks about like 2 to 3 days or 1 to 3 days. So, people who are doing it a lot longer, they're sort of doing it to their own sort of accord. If you read the book, he only talks about doing it for like 2 to 3 days sort of max.
Oh, okay. Now, is there certain starches that you won't eat after reading like the mucusless diet? Because I know starches get hit pretty heavy in that book.
Potatoes they don't get hit as bad. Okay. Everybody loves potatoes, no matter whether you're in the raw community or
especially sweet potato.
Starch based. Yeah. Well, me personally, like there's not really that much like starches like I avoid. There was a period where I wasn't going anywhere near beans just because physiologically speaking they weren't agreeing with me. But recently I've been introducing them and they were fine. But apart from that, glutinous starches I avoid because I just don't do well with gluten. But apart
like
from
pasta
that,
and stuff.
Yeah, like rice noodles and stuff is fine, but like wheat noodles, any wheat or barley or rye or oats, I can't go near any of those.
So do you recommend anybody just do starches, or are you completely, would you really think that somebody would do better on mostly fruit?
Mostly fruit. It makes too much sense, biologically speaking. Like nobody is attracted to eating raw starches, grains, beans. No one is. And I don't think we can say that we're biologically designed to eat something that you have to put fire to be able to eat in the first place, because no species, 8.7 million species in the world, has to do that. It just doesn't make any sense. But I do think with the use of fire, like starches are absolutely fantastic. I think they're absolutely fantastic, but I don't think we're biologically designed to eat them the way like John McDougall's promoting. But a lot of people will do well on starches, and if they don't like fruits, then they don't like fruits. You got starches, so.
Along those same lines, are you like a huge salad person? Do you eat a lot of salads, or do you kind of stay away from them? I'm talking like salads and like greens and like,
Yeah, I like my salads.
Do you?
I like my salads. I like romaine lettuce, and like I love greens. I remember watching a few videos of you about like greens and stuff. I don't know if you're like the biggest fan of them.
So I get a lot of this stuff for free during the summer because my dad grows stuff. But other than that, no, I'm not a huge fan of it.
No, I love them.
Do you? Yeah. So what is your thought on adding exercise into this lifestyle? Do you think and what kind of exercise do you, I know I've actually, most of the stuff that I see on your Instagram anyways is different exercise, and you do, it seems like you do a lot of walking. Is it for a reason, or you just like going for long walks?
I'm stressed.
Yeah.
No, it actually does really help with my like sort of mental health. It makes me feel good. But I went through a period where like I was just walking like 10,000 steps, and then I increased it to like 20,000 steps, and then I did challenges where I would do like 30,000 steps for a week. That's tough. That is tough.
Wow.
It's very tough.
How do you
but not
30,000 a day?
30,000 a day. Yeah.
How many miles is that? Or
like 15 miles.
Wow.
It's like 15 miles a day. But the shoes I had saved my life because they were ultra. I don't know if you heard of Ultra shoes.
Yeah.
They were like the max cushion ones. So like it was like sitting on it was like walking on a cloud. So, but it was still tough. But now I just do it because like I enjoy getting out there, and I want to inspire more people to walk, because I do think it's a very entry level exercise.
It is.
Anyone could do it. You don't need to buy a bike or anything like that. You could just sort of good pair of shoes and just walk out. even though I do love bikes as well. I do love bikes as well.
So you're more into walking, I guess, or do you do hiking too, or is it just mostly? Where I don't know where you even are. You in
Northern Ireland?
That's what I thought. I feel like
I don't know if my
30,000
accent.
steps is like across the entire island. Like, like
It feels that way. Yeah, it feels that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you go for hikes there, or because it's somewhat hilly there, right?
Yeah, there's hike locations and stuff like that. Like I haven't been on a like a mad hike in some time, but I do enjoy going on the odd hike, you know. I wouldn't sort of pass it down if someone asked me, but it's been some time before since I've done a hike.
So speaking of which, because I got a lot of people from that
Mhm.
corner of the planet, how easy is it for you to get really good fruit and in, you know, like say seasonal fruit and everything like that? I know you've told me you've got really easy, good time getting dates. You know, like the
I'm
fruit
literally
dates.
50% dates.
What's that?
I'm 50% dates.
Are you? Yeah.
About that, yeah, I do. Fruit. I mean, it depends on what you want, really. Like, I'm very simple. Like, I have dates, berries, apples, oranges, you know, grapes. You know, like, I think they're available everywhere. You know, those sort of fruits are available everywhere. Watermelons are atrocious here.
Really?
Atrocious. Yeah, trying to get good watermelon is like, oh my goodness, it's just so hard. But apart from that, like, you know, most of the staple sort of fruits that you need for a fruit-based lifestyle, you can get here. You can get almost any major sort of city. So yeah, it's pretty fine. It's pretty sweet.
And so do you do a lot of smoothies and juices, or do you just eat them straight up? I mean, what's your preferred method there?
Smoothies for sure.
Really?
Smoothies for sure. Yeah, so much easier. And I find that, like, especially trying to get the calories in, you know, this is one of the main reasons I'm a massive fan of dates. It's like dates require zero ripening,
Yeah.
zero
Yeah.
ripening. Bananas, you got to have a routine, you got to freeze them, etc. Dates, boom, 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 done. So I like having them in smoothies because I can just get more calories in, because I need a lot of calories throughout the day. So yeah, smoothies would be the go-to.
So do you add sugar into things, or are you kind of against the whole thing? Is dates your sugar?
Yeah, dates are my sugar. Honestly, like I don't really see a need for me to add sugar to my smoothies, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
people like pass out whenever they see my date smoothies alone, like, let alone just picturing me pouring like a kilo bag of sugar. So no, I mean, there was a period where I was like, you know, caught up in the Rotherford community and seeing like, oh, I'll give this a try. But like, the only ever time I would say add sugar to your smoothie is like if you're like a proper like triathlete, or like a proper like endurance athlete going hard, or if you come across a bad watermelon and you're like, right, this is the only way I can save this, I'm adding sugar. But apart from that, you don't really need it at all, especially if you're having with it like dates and bananas.
That's where that mucusless diet is coming from. That's it's haunting you, man. That's why I don't want to read, because he talks about sugar being bad in it, right?
Yeah. No, sometimes sometimes I don't get it. Like, sometimes, you know, like, there's people even in the starch-based community, they're like, oh, don't eat too much dates. You know, I'm like, what?
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I'm with you on that. I don't get it. Like,
I mean, if you come across like a date, I mean, you know, I might be moving to Arizona, which is, I get, it could actually happen. You come across a date palm and you're like, oh, two of those, you know, like, I mean, if you're starving, you're not going to just, I don't understand where some of these people come from at all.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it either.
Yeah.
You know, like, people want to limit like simple sugars and stuff like that, not knowing that like fruit is a simple sugar. Like, I don't get it. Yeah.
So did you ever have were you ever overweight? Was that ever an issue for you? Because a lot of people come into this because they had a lot of weight to lose, but some people because of, you know, disease.
No, I wasn't really. I was never really like overweight. Like, maybe a bit more chubby. There was a period where, while vegan, I was 10 kilograms heavier than I am now. Yeah. And that was mainly from like just eating loads of oats, like loads of oats. Like I could put away like a kilogram. I could put away like a kilogram bag of oats in like 3 days or something. I was overdoing it over a long period of time, and I gained an extra 10 kilos, and I looked a bit more chubby.
Yeah.
And then I literally cut out the oats, started smashing in the smoothies and like rice, potatoes, etc. And then I just kind of lost that. And
wow.
In a very short space of time.
This is why I recommend fruit. I mean, I don't, you know, because McDougall's always talking about starting your day with oats, and I tell people not to do it. There's actually more fat in oats than you would think, and they don't. Did you find that they held you like hunger wise, or, you know, because it seems like they go pretty fast.
For me, I feel like it did for me. Because of the amount that I was eating, I was eating like three cups of oats at one time with like a handful of raisins and chopped bananas and like sometimes adding cane sugar to that. Like I would sugar my oats because oats are like, they're bland, you know what I mean, by themselves. So you know what I mean? How good durianrider on but
I'm gonna put that GIF in here. Actually, did you see the one that I used?
We've all seen it. Yeah.
You have to. This is the thing. And buckwheat is another. Or I think buckwheat. Have you ever tried the buckwheat? What do you think? I mean,
I don't like them.
No,
I'll be honest. I don't like them.
People really want me to like feature them on the. I'm like, no, you know, I know they're huge in Russia and Ukraine and everything, but here
No, I'm not. I don't. It's like out of all the starches, I'm like, I don't really enjoy buckwheat. Maybe like buckwheat noodles or something like that, but like no, just not a fan.
So a lot of people come to my channel because of weight loss, and I know that wasn't obviously your journey. But what is your recommendation to everybody as far as they wanted to really start losing weight? Where would you start them off at?
Probably I know you're like. Probably the John McDougall style, just lock them in a room with potatoes and that's it.
You just lost all your clients, man.
I'm joking. I would say first, I think have a why, like have a reason why you want to do it initially, you know, and make sure that why is is positive and forward moving instead of like you're trying to run away from something like, oh, I want to lose this like disgusting weight and stuff like that. You know, like have like a why that's like rooted in something positive, like, you know, wanting to feel better, wanting to have more energy, wanting to be more toned, etc. And from there, I would say, you know, just focus initially, like, you know, on whole food, plant-based, and just try to replicate meals that you already like you sort of already eat, but just try to make them better. You know, just try to have like a plant-based version of that. Focus on really sort of dialing down on the fat percentage, you know. Because, you know, if you're eating a lot of like oils and animal products and dairy and junk food and stuff like that, you want to sort of like dial that down and sort of, just eat enough food, every single meal. Make sure you're satisfied. Don't even worry. I personally wouldn't even worry about like portion. Like, I know some people are like, worried about like portions and stuff. I would not worry about portions. You know, just eat enough, smash it in, whole food, plant-based, low fat. And if you're doing that for a long time and you're having like, you know, trouble still, then maybe look at the calories and be like, oh, maybe am I overeating and stuff like that. But most people would be fine on just eating like whole foods, plant-based, low fat. That's what I'd say.
And where do you have any specific amount of fat that you would say to stay under, or do you not watch that as much?
For me, or just in general?
Just in general.
In general, I would say no more than 20%, but you know, that from 10 to 20%, I think is great. I sort of lean more towards 10%, because generally speaking, like my body doesn't really react well to a lot of plant fats and stuff like that. But you know, some people need more fat than others, I think. And so anywhere from 10 to 20% would be like sort of a good range. But I reckon if you're just starting out in the weight loss journey, maybe you tend more towards the 10%, like the 80-10-10 style. But whenever you sort of reach your goal weight and stuff like that, I think you could be a little bit more liberal. I don't think it has to be so sort of strict.
And do you think if somebody was starting off that they should just get the diet in check first before they add in exercise, or do you think they should do both initially?
I would say definitely diet first, because you're gonna see more gains with the diet. You're gonna see definitely more gains, like nailing that, because that's a lifelong thing. That's like your health. That's involving to do with, like, you know, not just your weight, and it's also involved, like, responsible for reducing your risk of getting all these diseases. So I would say definitely focus more on diet. But then, you know, once you feel like you've got that down, then, you know, bit of walking, bit of yoga, bit of body weight exercises, cycling, etc. Yeah, it only adds to make you feel better. It only adds to sort of speed up the process as well and make you more toned, and you feel great in the process. So diet first for sure, then exercise. But if you can do both, then yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
And what's your thoughts on the rice diet? I'm sure you've heard of it between McDougall and everybody else talking about it.
I love it. I love the rice diet. I love the rice diet because, you know, I was actually like gonna make a video about the rice diet. I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes whenever I go to like videos of people who are doing the rice diet, like I see so many people in the comments being like, rice, you know, but like that's carbohydrates. Everyone knows carbohydrates make you fat. And it would be people who are like native to places like China and stuff. And I'm like,
oh, wow,
how? I'm like, how?
Happen?
I was like, how is this happening? How is like a cultural food, you know, that was known, you know, like if you look at the statistics in China in 1970s, like the prevalence of obesity or people who are overweight was like 7.8%. And like now it's like near enough like 50%. It's like it's ridiculous. And like how do people say like, oh, whenever the diet was majority rice, vegetables, fruits, little to no meat, no dairy, that people were like lean everywhere, to now people being like, oh, I think rice makes you fat. You know, I'm trying to avoid rice. I'm going keto. I don't understand. So I love the rice diet. You know, I think it's great. I think it's great. Obviously, it doesn't make me feel as energized as fruits, but yeah, it's not too bad.
What, speaking, you mentioned keto. What have you ever tried keto? Have you ever been down that plan? What are your thoughts on keto? Like, and where, I mean, because it is getting pumped out there
with the carnivore community.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I don't like, I've never done keto. I wouldn't even do plant-based keto. I don't agree with it. I think there's some common grounds that some keto people have. I think like they're against dairy products and stuff like that. And I think some keto people like do eat like vegetables and stuff like that. They're not like pure carnivore, but I just disagree with it. I think it's too high in fats, it's too high in protein, hard on the kidneys, just no fiber. And as well, ethically speaking, most people aren't attracted to seeing raw dead flesh, like animal flesh. You know, you don't like watching animal slaughter footage like Earthlings and Salivate. Like a lot of meat eaters, even people who are on keto or carnivore, they couldn't watch a animal slaughter footage, a lot of them, and not feel like disgusted and upset and like make this stop, turn it off. So I don't agree with it.
No, not at all. I should have probably asked this a while ago, but how long did it take for your diseases and acne and all that to clear up? I mean, how fast did that go away?
So it happened like the first week of going sort of more plant-based, they started to decrease. So bear in mind, during this time, the only thing that made them decrease before this was antibiotics. Nothing else worked. So that I was like, oh my goodness. So within a week or two, it started to go away. And then whenever I really dialed in on the low fat, high carb, it was virtually sort of like it's virtually non-existent. But I find as well, even to this day, if I do eat more fat, if I do eat like more nuts, if I ever eat anything with like oil or things that are high, just things that are high in fat, then it can come back, and it can come back like just like it was before. So
Oh wow.
yeah. So it wasn't as bad as it was whenever I was consuming dairy products and oil and all these different things. But if my fat percentage gets too high, then like I'll start breaking out and stuff like that. So it's kind of like this. It will always sort of keep me in a high carb, low fat sort of lifestyle.
Wow, that's interesting. So it wasn't really dependent on animal or
Oh,
vegan.
oh no, animal. Yeah, well, it's just I think the animal products made it worse.
Yeah.
They made it more aggressive and more like more painful, and as well with the dairy products, like I got more sort of things like throat infections and stuff like that, where whenever I went plant-based, I never got them. So but with the plant fats, if I eat too many of those, they can still cause issues. And I'm not alone in this. Have you heard of Nina and I think of Nina and Miranda? I think the twins, Jeff
Oh,
Nelson's daughters.
I have. McDougal's interviewed them a few times, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they experience like cystic issues, the same way. Sort of, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but like they have flare ups. I'm part of their skin, their the clear skin group. So they have sort of similar issues in relation to like if they eat a lot of plant fats and stuff like that, they like break out and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that, honestly. Speaking of, we keep mentioning McDougal. He did say that he would lock somebody in a room for if they paid him like bet him $1 million and he would feed him only potatoes.
What are your joke, everyone?
What are your thoughts on these people doing the potato only? I think they're limiting that. I mean, I've seen people lose weight, but it's just, I mean, what are your thoughts on somebody going potato only?
I would say it's better than a water fast. Because I think with the water fast, like you can like run the risk of sort of developing like a binge eating sort of like disorder. And I think in Ireland, in Ireland people were doing it for a long time, just eating like nothing but potatoes largely. But I don't see a problem with it. I wouldn't make a lifestyle out of it really, because obviously like I'm a fan of fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. But yeah, it may be a good thing for someone to do whenever they're just starting out and they're overwhelmed. Maybe they could just sort of jump on like potatoes only. But I wouldn't make it like a lifestyle where you're just eating only potatoes. I wouldn't agree with that.
Do you keep the diet simple though? I mean, or do you add in like 30 different things into your smoothies, or do you just try to keep it
the microbiome, yeah. Like the 30 different vegetables and stuff? That's a popular thing now.
I know. I'm money. Yeah.
I'm intrigued by it because again, like I was like I do, for me personally, I do like to sort of like rotate. Like I like to sort of eat the same sort of meals. Like if I find a meal I like, I run it to the ground. Like I will run it to the ground. And like, for some reason, like I can never get sick of bananas and dates, like smoothies. I can never get sick of it. It's like asking a cow to get sick of grass. It's like, yo, you've had that every day, like your whole life. Aren't you going to change?
Yeah.
Like, no.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. Yeah, because McDougal actually talks about if I pick, a few meals that you like, and I mean he's done fine, and his people have done fine. It's just, I mean, I'm not discounting the microbiome, and I've actually interviewed some people about it, and I'm not discounting the fact that it exists. I mean, have you looked into your microbiome? Have you done anything with that?
Done like an analysis and stuff,
or
like
just
that?
Even tried to get your microbiome, I don't know, upgraded or whatever?
You know what? Like, do you know the way like I've come across stuff in relation to do with like kimchi and sauerkraut and stuff like that, fermented vegetables.
Yeah.
And I vibe with kimchi because it's delicious. It's delicious. I think it's delicious. And like, it goes with like every starch. It goes with like, no matter what I put it with, like it just goes with it. So like I don't, I think that if someone wants to sort of like build up their microbiome by adding loads of like sort of different vegetables and stuff like that, I think that's fine. But I think that like if you're new, I wouldn't stress out about that. You just want to nail like 3 to 6 meals and sort of like just smash that out. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's good advice, because it's daunting, right? I mean, when you first get into this, to try to have to buy, all that stuff,
1,000 different vegetables, and like
yeah,
the condiments count,
yeah.
if they're not powdered, etc. Like,
yeah. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I was curious generally about you, and like what, like in sort of some mindset, like what sort of mindset stuff would you recommend for people sort of getting into this lifestyle, just to sort of.
Oh, so the interview.
I'm interviewing you. Yeah. Reverse.
Right. So I'm being interviewed now. What is my mindset? My mindset is keep it simple, honestly, because I don't know if you can see it. Over here is my bananas. It's behind my bike.
Right,
I just keep it as simple as possible, because it's not potato harvesting yet, but when it's potato harvesting, I just go buy 50-pound bags of potatoes. I get 50-pound bags of rice, and I get 40-pound boxes of bananas. And then I've got these dates here from the date people that I keep here. And honestly, because when you try to please your microbiome, and when you try to please the other people talking to you, telling you to do this stuff, and I know both of us are on here telling people, do this, but when you try to please everybody else, you eventually lose who you are. And I think that is, mindset wise, why people lose their why. I think people lose their why because they're trying to please other people in the community, or they're trying to please whoever, whatever it is, or like, my priest said I couldn't have this, or, like Jesus ate fish, so I got to eat fish. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, they've got to please all these things around them, and they never please themselves. And I think that their why gets lost. And if they just keep it simple, and things that they like some people don't like bananas, but they're trying to force themselves to like bananas. It's crazy. No, I'm only joking. It's crazy to me, because it's like the tofu of the fruit world, right? You can flavor it however you want to, but they love mangoes, but they hate bananas, but they're trying to live on bananas. Now, the only reason that I could see doing this is because mangoes are like so much more expensive than bananas. So if you get like a little bit of bananas, and then you put a ton of mango in there, like frozen mango or whatever, and then you can have that flavor. But where I'm going with this is, I think people get lost in trying to please other people that they read or listen to or watch, and they don't get to a point where they actually feel like the diet is theirs. And I think that mindset starts messing with people, and that is when you get the vegan deterioration channels, and you get like the breatharian. I can't eat that anymore. This is where that stuff comes into play, because people, they feel like they're getting bullied into it or whatever it is, and they can't do it anymore. And that is when people leave the whole thing. And you asked me mindset, and the mindset starts playing with you, because if you're not liking what you're eating, and you only function off what you ate, but you didn't like it, and you're not looking forward to the next thing, and then you start not eating, and then a huge binge comes, and you eat an entire cow, and you're like, oh, carnivore works. And that's what happened.
I would say for anyone listening as well, like, I know we're talking about a lot about like the diet and stuff, but I do think that, like, focusing on relationships and stuff like that, and making sure to like get out and socialize and stuff like that, I think is still a good aspect of life, and just your total enjoyment of life. Because sometimes it can be very isolating, like having like no friends, or like, the only people you talk to, like, who are resonating with you is online. So I do think it's good to get out there and socialize, and sort of try to connect with people.
It is. And if you're in a small area, that might be rough.
Countryside or something like that.
Countryside, yeah.
Just talking to the cows.
Yeah, you're talking to somebody about veganism while they're shooting a cow in the face. I mean, it's just like, it's just, because I go right out in the country, and you can smell it everywhere. Like, you can smell the death everywhere, because you pass all these tanneries and everything. So if you live in that kind of area, it is going to be isolating. And, you know, you only get so much out of talking to people like this, or, you know,
Online, yeah.
online, or so maybe
It
move. I
helps.
don't, but
It does help. It
it
helps eventually.
helps. I'll say that it helps, but I think it makes you even more introverted than maybe you already were. And if you maybe get out, move, I don't know, but like, you know, it does help to have people around you that that eat that same way.
Like visit like a Woodstock fruit festival or something like that. Or like a vegan festival wherever you're at.
Yeah. Yeah. Just watch with some of them vegan fests though. I mean, because a lot of them are junk food vegans, and that can get you on. Because I went to one, a couple here in Cleveland, and it was like all donuts and like fake meat, and then there was like this little thing here, like this little cubicle,
Rice and
smelling
beans.
like like a banana
and
or
juice.
something. Yeah. So,
yeah.
but at least you're meeting people in that world, and some people don't care about getting skinny. They just want to be vegan for the animals, and that would probably be your crowd more than you know, not yours, but like if you're in that junk food vegan, the festivals like that might be actually more up your alley than if you're into fruit. Now, unless it's Woodstock.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Which I will visit at some point. But probably the one in the UK first. The one in the UK.
They did one in Hawaii. Why didn't you go?
It's
an island.
Kind of like I'm kind of focused on doing the UK one. I think I'm gonna go next year. But this year I'm gonna go to the vegan camp out. That's in Leicester, in England. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Are they allowing you over there now? Are you allowed to?
Yeah, you're allowed to. Well, it's within the UK, so it's like you know, so you're allowed to travel. Okay.
All right. Well, is there another question you wanted to ask me while we're here? No,
that's everything.
Okay. I think that's it. I think we've you know, anybody who watches this, you know, ask either one of us any questions. Reach out to Clinton here over at Fruit Kid. And that's it. I think that this does not have to be a very hard transition. It's weird to me that we're talking about this, because I literally just did a video about that right before this. And that's it. I mean, any final commentary?
Any final words?
Well, that sounds bad.
Carb up.
Carb up. I mean, that's really all it takes. Carb up, and just, you know, I personally think that like 10 grams or less is good. But I come at it from, I want to cycle as fast and as long as possible, whereas you're more into the walking and everything. And I don't know that you notice it as like a little bit more fat on the walking as you do on cycling. But do you do a lot of cycling?
When I had my bike, I did a lot more, but it broke, so I need to get another one. And then when I do, I'll be joining you. And I don't know if you do this, like you still do the Zwifts or something. The one where you're cycling and stuff.
Oh no, I actually turned it off. Actually, the bike is still, I got to take that bike off the trainer and actually get it road ready again. But yeah, during the normal season, I don't even use Zwift. But yeah,
okay.
But you know, but that's the thing though. Here's another thing with the community. If you don't like riding outside, if you're scared of getting hit by cars or kids or dogs or whatever it is that you got obstacles, that's a perfect community right there. You could legitimately start like a community there and just meet. I mean, time zones becomes an issue, but there's got to be a commonality time zone wise.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
Okay,
thanks for watching. Subscribe.
Thanks
to
for
him,
having me on.
Follow whatever it is on whatever platform. And that's it. Thanks for watching.
Awesome.
Oh, and subscribe to my channel too. Why not?
Subscribe.
Yeah.